and welcome to my channel. While I set up, I don't know what is happening with this camera. Okay, yeah. So welcome to my live video and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing an introductory video to discuss intermittent fasting. As you all know, this channel is about healthcare and also wellness topics that I discuss. And before I go ahead, for those of you who are following me on this channel based off of the content that I do sometimes regarding how to practice in Nigeria, different medical specialties and surgical specialties in Nigeria, I have good news for you. I'm going to be starting a new channel that is dedicated specifically for that kind of content. I want to take all of that content out of this channel so that it does not get lost inside all the content here. This is just a health and wellness channel from now on, while I am going to separate all the content that has to do with medical education, training in Nigeria, working in Nigeria as a doctor, all of that kind of content, private practice, things like that. This is going to be a very exciting channel. I have set up that channel already, and once that channel goes live, I will put it on my community tab on this particular channel so that you can all go and follow that channel. I don't mind if you unsubscribe from this channel to subscribe to that one. I'm still going to keep this channel because this is my major channel that has to do with health and wellness. But all that kind of content I've just described will be focused mostly on the new channel. I'll let you know the name of the channel. It's a closely guarded secret for now. But for this video right now, I'm going to be discussing intermittent fasting. Excuse me. Intermittent fasting came to my mind to discuss because I have found out that it is an extremely effective method of people losing weight. Weight loss is a very, very important consideration for a lot of people, especially when you get to a certain age, say 40 and the other side of 40. And what I mean by the other side of 40 is like when you're older than 40, 40 and above. In fact, even some people from 30, you know. And I've also noticed that a lot of people struggle with diets to lose weight because of the restrictive nature of that whole process. There is almost no dieting technique I know that does not impose so much restriction on people. There's almost none. Intermittent fasting is not a dieting method. It is just a scheduled way of eating. That's the best way to explain it. It's a scheduled way of eating. As the name implies, intermittent is not continuous. It's like, it happens, it stops. It happens, it stops. Fasting, when you abstain from anything at all, you can fast from anything. So in this case, it is fasting from food. So intermittent fasting, when you put the two words together, it means you have periods where you eat that alternate with periods where you do not eat. You ask me, but that is a normal thing. I mean, some people, when you are asleep, you're not eating at that particular point in time, are you? Yes, you're right. Intermittent fasting is actually just an exaggeration of what all of us do normally and naturally. So if you've been struggling with weight loss and you find out that diets are extremely restrictive for you, then I think I will implore you to try intermittent fasting. It is not actually a diet because you get to eat your normal meals, but not in the way you used to eat it before. Keep the normal calories that you're eating, or eat whole meals, and don't overeat and say there's going to be a period of starvation because you won't lose even a kilo. Just eat, like, let's say, if you want to eat once a day, if you want to eat twice a day. I'm still going to discuss the methods of intermittent fasting. I'm just giving you an example. Don't say because you're going to be fasting from such and such a time to such and such a time, that means you're going to pack all the calories and eat it now. No. Just eat what you need to eat at that particular point in time, and then fast for the period that you need to fast. So, like I said before, it is something that human beings have been doing. We all do it all the time. The problem with us as we get older is the way we eat. As a child, you eat, say, every 2 hours when you're very small, like a baby. And then you begin to space it out. And it's not a problem when you're little, because at that point, the way your body processes nutrients is very quick. And then you're also, a lot of things are happening in your body because you're growing. Every cell in your body is growing. So your body uses up all those nutrients, or much of the nutrients. You're also a lot more active when you're a child. You're running around everywhere, playing with your friends and all of that. And although now children are doing more of PlayStation. So that also is introducing a lot of childhood obesity problems. So now we are even looking at children, doing weight loss classes because of all these changes in the way society is. So I was talking about the whole process of intermittent fasting. So as a child, because you have high metabolic activity, your body's breaking down things, and you're growing so fast, you're using up all the nutrients, all those foods you're eating are being used. Now, when you're no longer growing the way you were growing, at least not upwards, you're growing sideways, and you still go ahead and eat the way you were eating when you were a child, you will find out that you're going to pile on a lot of pounds on your body, kilos, I mean, and then you get very fat, or you begin to add weight, abdominal fat, especially if you're a female, or even male, especially males. Let me not say especially if you're a female, especially everybody, males and females alike. You add things like drinking of alcohol to that, and then your problem is even more compounded. So as you get older, you find out that you need to begin to be serious about how you look at the calories that you consume. And you also need to be more actively involved in how you coordinate the things that you eat. So, intermittent fasting, for those of us who are lazy, if you're lazy like me, is one of the things that you can actually do for yourself. So, what exactly happens when you are fasting? That initial period, as you've eaten your last meal, and you're giving yourself several many hours in between where you're not going to be eating. During that period, your body begins to obviously break down what has been taken in. When that is finished, the body goes to the liver, begins to take the stores from the liver, the glycogen stores for energy. And when the body finds out that we are depleting all of this, the body begins to break down the stored fat in your body. And what the body does when it breaks down fat is that it uses the fat for energy. That is how you lose the weight. So when you're not taking in a lot of calories and you're breaking down some of the things you've stored, cumulatively, you're going to find out that you will lose weight. Okay? So that is how fasting works in a nutshell. Now, what are the methods of intermittent fasting? There are several methods of intermittent fasting. And this is something that coaches will charge you money for. I'm giving you this video free of charge. One of the easiest ways, especially what I advise if you're just beginning, if you're just a starter, this is the first time that you want to start trying intermittent fasting, and I will implore you, after watching this my live video, please go and try intermittent fasting. One of the ways that you start with is what we call the 12-12 method. Remember that in a day you have 24 hours. So 12-12 means that during a 12-hour period, you will eat your normal meals. And during 12 hours, you will not have any food. You can have drinks, water, and I will also tell you drinks that you can take during the periods of fasting very soon in this video. So do it for 12 hours. You can eat your normal meals. And how would you eat that meal? It's not every hour that you will eat. Obviously, during a period of 12 hours, you can fit in 2 meals into that period and eat your 2 meals, or 3 meals as the case may be. But make sure that for a period of 12 hours, you will not have anything to eat. An example is, let's say somebody wakes up in the morning by 8 a.m. and or let's say you wake up by 6 and then you have to go to work and stuff like that, and you want to eat something by 6 a.m. to break your fast. That means that by 6 p.m. the previous day will be your last meal. while 6 a.m. will be the period that you have your next meal. So between 6 p.m. and midnight, sorry, what am I saying? Yeah, and midnight, that gives you 6 hours. Hmm? And now between midnight and 6 a.m. is another 6 hours. So if you add that together, that gives you 12 hours. So you have 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. as a period that you're not eating anything. During that period, obviously, your sleeping hours are also inside it. So try and incorporate the hours of fasting during the period that you're going to be sleeping. Obviously, all your fasting period will also incorporate the sleeping period. So when you wake up in the morning, you go and have either coffee or something to drink and all of that. So that is the classical the classical 12-12 fasting method. So you eat for 12-hour period and then you starve for 12-hour period. And like I said, you can fit in two or three meals or even one meal, depends, you know, let's say 2 meals during that 12-hour period, and then you fast for 12 hours. It is the simplest way for you to introduce yourself into intermittent fasting, because for some people you can jump right head on, but most people, if you jump head on into something that you're trying for the very first time, most times I find out that you will not succeed. You will crash out of that thing immediately and you will not succeed in it. So it's always best to introduce yourself gradually to something that you are just starting at that point in time. So if you're starting intermittent fasting, you've never done it before, you've never had any experience with it before, I strongly suggest that you start with the 12-12 fasting method. That 12-12 fasting method is really very, very helpful because it can introduce you and gradually get you used to the period of fasting. The next one is what we call the 14-10 method. Now, for the 14-10 method or 10-14 method, as the case may be, you will eat during a period of 10 hours. Now, you are shrinking your eating window now and extending your fasting window. And you will fast for a period of 14 hours. I usually recommend that if you've done 12-12 for at least a month or two, gradually transition into the 10-14 method. Now, 10 plus 14 gives you 24 hours, so that covers 24 hours in a day. So 10 hours you will fit in your meals, while the next 14 hours is the period where you're going to be fasting completely from having anything to eat. During that period, your body goes into breaking down the fat, and any fasting that is over 12 hours, that is when your body begins to break down a lot of the fat that you have stored. If it is 12 hours and above, you begin to break down fat. So if you want to have maximum benefits, try and fast for at least 14 hours. So that is the 10-14 method of intermittent fasting. The next method, which is usually what I recommend for people who have gone through the process, we've talked about the 12-12 method, we talked about the 10-14 method. Now we go to the third method, which is a little more extended. And in this method, we call it the 16-8. Now you must notice that the eating window is shrinking while your fasting window is extending. So for now, the eating window is 8 hours while the fasting window is 16 hours. So you're going to be eating, let's say, 1 or 2 meals fitted into that 8-hour period, while you'll be fasting for a period of 16 hours. And obviously, like I said, 12 hours, your body begins to break down fat. And you notice that the maximum benefits that you will get from intermittent fasting usually is people who have done the 16-8 fasting method. Please, if you're just starting intermittent fasting, don't jump into 16-8 because you are going to fail. Try to start with 12-12, progress to the 10-14, and then go to the 16-8. Okay, let's say 14-10 so that it's easier. So the 12-12 method, the 14-10 method, and the 16-8. Remember, the first one is your fasting window, while the second part is your eating window. So that's how you go about doing intermittent fasting. There is an extended one, which is a lot more stringent than the 16-8 method, and that is the method that is called the 1 meal a day method. And please do not jump into 1 meal a day if you are not experienced in fasting. If you are an experienced person in intermittent fasting, then you can do 1 meal a day. If you have been going through the process as I've discussed, then at some point you would have built up your body to a point where you'll be able to carry out 1 meal a day. If you have not fasted before and you want to start with 1 meal a day, it is the fastest way to failure. So for 1 meal a day, as the name implies, you're only going to eat 1 meal for that day. And for the rest of the day, you will not eat. So that's like a 23-1. 23-1. So you need to be somebody who is experienced in fasting before you can progress into 1 meal a day. 1 meal a day is extremely beneficial. Why do I say that? Because 1 meal a day is a method that if you have been losing weight and then you reach a plateau, you notice that you have not lost weight for some weeks, despite anything you've done, you've cut calories, you have tried to do everything by the book and nothing is working, progress to 1 meal a day and you break that plateau. You break that plateau and you begin to lose weight again. So that's the benefit of 1 meal a day. And that's when I recommend 1 meal a day. It's not for people who are just starting, it's for those who have done the fasting and their body has gotten accustomed to the fasting, and at some point you stop losing weight, which is what will happen at some point when you have done intermittent fasting for a while. When that happens, then you can do 1 meal a day to break that plateau and go back to losing weight. So the next thing I'm going to cover now in this video is during that fasting period, what are the things that you should take? Should you drink water? Yes, you should drink water, because when you fast, you get dehydrated and you can tend to have your body responds in strange ways. So it's always good for you to take water. Water will help you to hydrate. Another thing that you can drink that will not break your fast is green tea. And green tea is unsweetened. Do not put sugar. Once you put sugar, sorry, let me adjust myself a bit. Once you put sugar in your green tea that you're drinking, you have broken your fast. You're not supposed to take anything that has calories. Once you take something that has calories, you have broken that fast. So green tea unsweetened. You can take black coffee. Black coffee unsweetened as well. It also is important for you to take during that period. Now, the way I do it, some people complain that black coffee is bitter. Even though they like coffee, they complain that black coffee is bitter. And by black coffee is just you put your hot water in the cup, you put your coffee and you drink. So if you put a few grains, just a few, I'm not saying a teaspoon, a few grains of salt inside that black coffee, it takes away that bitterness. Just try it and see. It's almost like magic. It takes away the bitterness, but it does not take anything from the flavor of the coffee. In fact, it allows you to enjoy the flavor of the coffee so much. The benefit of drinking coffee in the morning for the days that you are fasting, during that fasting period, is that it elevates your mood, and it also helps to increase the calorie burning activity of the body. And it can even help you to extend your fasting period for longer because it squashes all the appetite and cravings. Black coffee. So we've talked about drinking water when you're fasting and drinking green tea and also drinking black coffee. Now, some people have mentioned MCT oils added to coffee. I always say, please try and keep things simple. Keep things simple so that you don't break your fast without knowing. Another thing that some people ask is, can I drink diet Coke? Diet Coke, diet Pepsi, diet anything, and all of that? Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that if you're just taking maybe a little quantity, it does not break your fast. But by the time you're gulping down like 1 or 2 cans of Diet Coke, your body is going to respond to the sweetness, and it's going to be the same kind of response that you would mount if you have eaten, so you have broken that fast. Some very strict people who will teach you about intermittent fasting will tell you, do not even attempt to do anything like diet Coke and all of that. But I don't toe that line. I think you can take diet Coke, a small can of it, maybe about 30 cl of it, that should help for those of you who are hooked on it. But that's another thing, another program entirely. How to quit soda addiction. We'll cover it on one of these lives, one of these days. So far I have talked about what intermittent fasting is and the types of methods that are involved in intermittent fasting, the kinds of drinks that do not break your fast. Okay, so like I said, it's a very important method of weight loss, and a lot of people have been struggling with weight problems. Now we have seen Ozempic and other things that people are rushing around trying to use and lose weight. In as much as we understand that that is something that may be very helpful for certain people, the tendency to abuse is high, and the tendency for unscrupulous people to sell to people without any prescription is also high. And don't forget that we also do not know all the side effects of Ozempic, and all the problems that long-term use can pose. And also, there have been reports of people who have actually lost their lives to this medication. They are still under investigation. We are not completely sure if it is really because of the Ozempic that they took or not. So your best bet at the end of the day is for you to moderate your calorie intake and also increase your energy expenditure. When you do that, that helps you to reduce the amount of weight that you carry. Some people will say, body positivity, body positivity. Why are you always talking about weight loss? I always talk about weight loss. Why? Because when you are fat, a lot of problems come from you being fat. So many problems. So many. So I am not going to be one that will sit down here and advocate for you to do something that is clearly unhealthy for you. As you get older, your bones are not as strong as they used to be. Your muscles are getting weaker than they used to be. So if you continue to pile on the fat, it's just like carrying a wheelbarrow. I don't know if you all know what a wheelbarrow is. Stacking stones inside the wheelbarrow and pushing it. Now the leg of the wheelbarrow is wobbling and there's something wrong with the leg of the wheelbarrow and you're still pushing it. You will find out that you expend a lot of energy and you can cause injuries just by pushing that wheelbarrow that has a bad leg. Now try something. Take out a lot of the bricks from that wheelbarrow that you have been pushing. Take out the bricks from that wheelbarrow, which is like reducing the weight, and you will notice that it's easier to push right now. So you reduce the stress on your joints, especially when you're getting older. When you are losing weight, you reduce the stress that your body puts on your joints, hip joints, back, knee joints, ankle joints. You reduce the stress on your joints. And you also reduce a plethora of so many other problems. Diabetes gets much better. A lot of my clients who have gone through this process of intermittent fasting, we have noticed that their diabetes gets much better. They have less requirement for their medication. They don't stop their medication. Please do not stop your medication. Use it. But you have to use it according to your eating schedule. That is why before you start any intermittent fasting or any dieting method at all, if you have diabetes or any other medical condition, you need to inform your doctor so that it can be tailored to what you need to do. So I think I will have to stop this video at this point in time. I hope it has been a beneficial video. Yes, I have promised to talk about the benefits of intermittent fasting apart from weight loss. Weight loss is one of the most important benefits from intermittent fasting. But the other things that you will notice when you begin to do intermittent fasting are things like mental clarity. Your head is just like you are light, you are more alert, you are very much alert to everything that is happening around you. You sleep better. The sleep is very much improved. So you find out that you sleep, beautifully, and you wake up on time. You feel refreshed when you wake up in the morning. And then another thing that happens is the fact that if you have inflammatory conditions in your body, things like arthritis and other things like that, you will notice a significant improvement in those things. And I've already mentioned the improvement in your blood sugar, especially for those people who have things like diabetes mellitus. And your mood is also improved, so generally overall your health condition gets so much better. That is why I always advocate for people to do intermittent fasting. If you're somebody like me who feels restricted whenever they are involved in any kind of diet, whenever somebody says come and do a particular diet, you feel restricted. I have tried everything. I've tried ketone diets. I've tried so many diets, Atkins diet, which is almost like a variation of the keto diet. I've tried so many other things, and none of it worked. Calorie counting, none of it worked. Not because those methods are not good. Those methods are good in themselves, and they also have their own specific advantages. So let me know if you want me to discuss keto diet, you know, break it down for you so that if that is what you want to follow, you can follow it. But I preach intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting has been the only thing that has given me that freedom, to do what I need to do, eat what I want to eat, and still lose weight. I don't think there's any other method that offers you that much flexibility. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to be restricted, please discipline yourself. And like I said, start with 12-12 and then go to 14-10, then 16-8, and then 1 meal a day. So there's another one which is not really intermittent fasting. It's the 5-2 method, which means you eat for 5 days and you fast for 2 days. So like I said, that is a story for another day. It is really not a type of intermittent fasting, but we'll cover it in a separate video. I don't want this live video to be too long. It's already too long. So please leave your comments in the comment section. If you have anything that you want me to cover in my other videos, in my next videos, leave your comment in the comment section, and I will do my very best to answer all your questions. And also, when I come live again, if you have a topic you want me to discuss and break it down for you, health or wellness related topic, I'll be very, very happy to get that done. All right. So I think that should be all for intermittent fasting. I will come back again some other time, possibly tomorrow or next, to have some more conversations, and we will be discussing something very important also, which is the kinds of exercise that you need to do, simple exercises you need to do when you're doing intermittent fasting, things that will help you. And also I'll go to town discussing I think I'll just talk about something I was planning to discuss with you people. So what I will do, we'll talk about exercise, the kinds of exercises that you need to do, when you're doing intermittent fasting. Because if you combine a little bit of exercise, not excessive, I see some strange exercises where people are carrying all kinds of heavy things and struggling. Exercise is very important because when you are trying to lose weight, the tendency is for the body to break down not just the fat, but at some point, especially when you go into the extended fast like 16-8 and 24, that's another extended one which I did not mention. I'm sorry about that. I didn't mention it in my video. There's 24 as well, which means you eat for a 4-hour window and you fast for a 20-hour window. I think that's like then before you talk about the 2023 one, which is the 1 meal a day. So so the tendency is for the body, once you get to like 16-8 and above, the longer fast, the body can start breaking down proteins. Remember, your muscles are made of protein, so the body can begin to break down proteins. So it is important for you to incorporate weight training and other exercises into your dieting method so that you can build and keep the strength of your muscles. That muscle bulk also helps to break down fat and also reduces the amount of fat that accumulates in your body as well. There's a lot that needs to be discussed, but just know that you need to incorporate some level of exercise into your intermittent fasting to make it much more effective. That usually will help you to lose the weight even faster. So that will be all for today, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for joining me, and let's make it a date to discuss again some other time. Bye bye.